Folks, I'll tell you what, Krystal was dropping so much value. I said, we got to hit record because we were having the pre-show, and she's one of our speakers here at the Impact Conference for Cedarville. But Krystal, we were already talking. You were reading me a promise that God gave you. And I
Yeah.
feel like there's people watching this right now that are thinking, could God really do a miracle in my life? Could God really create something out of nothing? And you were just telling a story about an event, and God gave you a promise and then doubled the registrations the week before or the month before. But tell us
Yes.
this quick story.
Yeah, so we had our global expo and conference in April for U.S. Christian Chamber of Commerce, and it was our first one out as the U.S. Christian Chamber. It was lofty. There was a lot on the line. It was our first time to be in a hotel and outside of like a church. And so there was a lot at stake. And I just knew that God had called it forth. And so I was being obedient when I, booked the registration for the event, said how many hotels. I mean, it is a serious walk of faith. And we're 30 days out, and literally I needed double registration. And so I just kept believing that God was going to do it. And so every day, by the tickets, number of tickets sold, I would hold up a daily calendar and just take a picture, because I wanted to be able to show people that God moves, because I knew God was going to move. I knew he was never going to fail me or forsake me or just leave me there. And one of the days that I picked up was February the 8th. And our event was in April, and I felt like it was a promise for me. And so I took it out. I keep it by my desk. I started to read the verse, and you knew immediately what verse it was. It was Hebrews 11:17, and it's about by faith what Noah did. By faith, Noah built that ark, right? When he was warned, he hadn't seen it yet, but he was motivated because he believed in God. And below that verse was this nugget for me. And it says, if a man who's never seen rain could be moved to build an ark, imagine what God can do for us and in us when we look at him with reverence and trust. And you guys, I'm just here to tell you that God did it. In 30 days, he doubled the registration. And I say he, because I know he did it. He gets the glory. Every day I was like, Lord, let me decrease, you increase, because this is not possible in my human strength. And he brought new ideas and insight and partnerships and scholarships and all kinds of things that helped us to get there. We exceeded expectations. We were not upside down. It was a first conference. It was filled with the Holy Spirit. And I'm just here to remind you guys that if God told you to do something and you're obedient to that, he'll honor that obedience. It's not about the hustle. It's not about the grind. It's about his promises for you. And I just love that Noah, he never even saw rain. He never experienced rain before. And yet he built an ark. And last thing I'll say about this is those animals, they didn't need an email, a tweet, a marketing, a team. They came at the sound. They came at the sound. So I just want to say, it doesn't matter what you do. It's about what God will do through you if you're obedient, listening, and in prayer. So whatever it is, whatever you're facing today, I'm just glad that we were able to catch this on film today and just hopefully encourage somebody.
That will absolutely encourage somebody. And I'll tell you what, Krystal, you just have this magnetic energy. In fact, I'm looking here at your LinkedIn, and you got a lot of amazing stuff going on. I mean, are you in Florida like right now with the hurricane?
Well, yes, we're past the hurricane here in Orlando. We just had some wind and rain, very, very minimal compared to some of the other areas.
Well, I am so glad you're okay and safe, because I think I even messaged you last night or this morning. I said, are you safe? Are we still doing this thing? But let's talk about that though, because you mentioned rain. We didn't even plan this. You mentioned rain. You mentioned an ark. You're in a hurricane. How much of entrepreneurship, because I know you're just crushing it, how much of entrepreneurship is a wild adventure, where you wake up and you think you're going here and God makes you go there? And I mean, how much of your life has been this type of thing?
Well, it's definitely a journey of faith. We were just at a summit this last week, and one of the speakers reminded us of something that Elon Musk said, and I thought it was so good. I just remembered it right away. Said entrepreneurship is like chewing glass and looking off into the abyss. I mean,
yes, I heard that.
One of the hardest and most challenging things that you'll ever do. Now, there's a caveat to this, because I used to say this all the time. I don't know how business owners and entrepreneurs do this without God. That's what I would always say.
Wow.
But then I realized that when you're following God, you're stepping out into something that is beyond anything you can accomplish on your own.
Mm.
And so, therefore, sometimes when you're following God and being obedient, it looks bigger than anything that you could ever imagine. But when people are trying to do it in their own strength, their goals are minimal because it's like, well, I can do this and I can do that and I can accomplish this. And so,
Yeah.
therefore, they never do those amazing things that are only explainable by God. So when we launched US Christian Chamber of Commerce about 15 months ago, I'm telling you, it was a big jump of faith.
Wow.
And he's come alongside, and some amazing things have happened in the last 15 months.
Tell us the name again. U.S. Chamber. What is it?
uschristianchamber.com. Certainly pull up that site because we're so
Yeah.
excited about what God's doing for Christians and business all over the US. We came in and started the Christian Chamber Coalition. There were no Christian chambers in that coalition. And today there's 13 different Christian chambers in the coalition, and another 6 are coming up. We're hoping to have 15 by the end of the year
Is this
that
the
are part of
website?
this. This is it right here. Yep.
Oh my. So folks,
Yes.
U.S. Christian Chamber.com.
Yes.
And you, what did I hear you right that you said wait, did you start this?
Yes. Yes. The crazy story on this was a registered business 20 years ago, registered nonprofit business 20 years ago. And the woman that started it put it underground and started doing business as Central Florida Christian Chamber right here in Orlando in Central Florida.
Okay.
I came in to be the president of that 2 months after COVID. And as we're building and growing the local Christian Chamber of Commerce, the Lord made it very clear that it was time to launch US. And we were helping to start Christian chambers in different areas.
Yeah.
We were serving some of these other Christian chambers that wanted to help growing. And we knew that it was time in our nation. So we bifurcated the 2 companies. We created Central Florida Christian. God brought incredible presidents, co-presidents for that. And I took US Christian Chamber of Commerce as an idea and just said, okay, God, let's go. And the rest is history. And I can't wait to look back and see, 50 years from now, Christian chambers all over the US and people saying, how did people used to do business? How did the Christians do business before without the Christian chambers? But we're certainly solving some of those problems where people feel like I'm alone. I mean, we're in a troubling world right now, a real dark world for Christians in business, and we need social capital. And we also need to be reminded of doing business with the biblical worldview. What does God say about these things? And how do we do business God's way? And then lastly, when we all come together and we work together, we can see citywide transformation. And so that's what we do in the Christian chambers. And of course, through my company, I work with business. I help with development, engagement strategies for employees. And I wrote a book called The Best Robot Wins about 3 years ago before this huge AI boom, and really helping people recognize the value of their human capital and get their businesses AI ready, which means a complete evolution of how you're going to adapt and evolve as leadership in this time with this big AI push that we're seeing in businesses today.
All right. Oh my gosh. So here's the thing. I know we only have about 5 minutes left, but I wanted to get you on because we're excited to get you at the Impact Conference. But I think you just blew people's minds. You certainly blew my mind. And that was that, I mean, you were ahead of the curve here on this topic. And you're going to be, can you believe that it's 21 days from now? And
Woo,
by
let's
the
go.
time I'm trying to think, is this live? Are we live today? I don't even know. We're recording today. So look, they're going to even have less time.
Yes.
So if you're watching this today, folks, you have to get your ticket today. In fact, we were talking about this. I mean, we have, the chosen director. We have all kinds of speakers. You're top of the list here. Speaker, transforming profit, business as a force for God. I'm wondering why you're not speaking on AI.
Well, because you have Elijah Lowe coming for AI. That's a friend of mine. And right there, Elijah, I read his book. I brought him into the chamber as a speaker. He is your expert on AI.
Really?
What? Yeah. Oh, yeah. He's incredible. He's on the cutting edge. What I
Okay.
love about what God showed me with AI is just the evolution of business and how we cannot forget the human workers.
Mm,
And so that's really what I wrote the book about. I used the parable of the seed sower and parable of talents
yeah.
to be able to help break down some biblical principles
Yes.
for business owners to be able to increase engagement and gain a competitive advantage through the human worker amidst all of this AI. So I'm not against the grain for AI. I always say automate where possible. But when you're thinking about a thought leader in the AI business, Elijah Lowe he's going to blow your mind. So
Wow.
it's going to be a great conference. You guys got to come out, because what I love about this conference too, with it being there at the university,
Yeah.
is we get to engage with the future leaders of our nation.
Yes.
Some of your incredible students, some of the alumni, but
Yes.
also high level impacting CEOs that are just blazing a trail in their industry. So I'm coming as a student just as much as I am as a speaker. I am so excited to get there and be a part of this conference.
Folks, we're gonna mention her website, intentandImpact.com, intentandImpact.com. You'll want to check out that. You'll want to get her book, The Best Robot Wins. It sounds really cool. And then, yeah, definitely come over to Cedarville. This is one of those things where it's our first year doing it. And you might say, well, gee, why should I come? It sounds risky the first year. Oh my gosh, we have hundreds. We have hundreds. We just talked about that. Hundreds of people coming.
Mhm.
And really, if they want a ticket, they got to get in fast. But here's the beauty of this. I don't know if you know this, Krystal. Believe it or not, I used to be a pastor. Can you believe that?
Whoa,
So I used
okay,
to be
let's
a
go.
pastor. Yeah, yeah. And then get this really quick. I'll tell the quick story.
Mhm.
Right there on that frame is my rejection letter from Cedarville in 2005 to be a Bible professor.
Okay.
Okay. So listen,
Wow.
listen. Do you ever save your no's, Krystal?
Cool.
Do you ever save your rejections? Do you ever like say, hey, God's I've heard people's rejection is God's protection. You ever hear about that?
Wow, I so believe that. And actually, yes, I do have a few of
Yeah.
those rejection
Yeah,
letters.
you do, right?
I do.
So
Yes, I do.
listen, I just saved that because I don't even know why I saved it, but I saved it. And then I said, you know what? I'm not going to be a pastor or a professor. I'm going to be an entrepreneur. And I'll tell you what,
Mm,
I love entrepreneurship. I
yeah,
love it. You just nailed it. It's like chewing glass. And you might be like, well, why are you one then? It is a ride.
it's a ride.
It's a ride. It's an adventure. But
Yeah.
God has to show up. Don't you think?
God has to. And honestly, it's the greatest thing you'll ever do, by getting into entrepreneurship. And here's the cool thing about it. Like when I was in oil and gas for 15 years,
Wow.
I was an intrapreneur and I didn't even
Yeah.
realize it. I didn't even know what I was.
Yes.
So even if you're not out there as a business owner or trying to, become an entrepreneur, you might be an intrapreneur and a future entrepreneur. So I think you're going to get a lot from this conference by being there. One more thing that I would just share with your audience is that regardless of where you find yourself in business, there is a real opportunity to connect in a community.
Oh,
You're
yeah.
not alone. And when you get out there and try to do it alone, you'll stumble. God didn't design us to do this alone.
Mm,
He designed us to do it in community. Every joint will
I love that.
supply. You might find partnerships and a network and people to come alongside you and even pray for you. So if you can get out to this conference, I mean, you still have time to get registered. You still
Yeah.
have time to get your ticket, grab a hotel, and come and join us, because the power of the network, social capital, it's real. And I just love that Cedarville is putting this together for us to be able to come together
Yes.
and really grow our businesses.
It's an investment. I get it that people would come, but I'll tell you what, anytime I make an investment in myself, you know this from our John Maxwell background
Right.
again, right? I mean, you are literally adding value to yourself, which then
Mhm.
allows you to add value to your clients. So this is not an expense, it's an investment. And Krystal's going to have her book signing there too, and the other speakers. So, Krystal, you crushed it today, starting with that Noah Hebrews
Wow.
verse, and I'm just really excited to meet you in person too.
Looking forward to it. Thanks for this opportunity, and hope to see everyone out at the conference. Get your tickets today because it will be here and gone before you know it. Don't look back and go, I wish I would have.
Ooh,
Get
yes.
there, take that faith step, come see what God's got for you. Be in prayer about it before you get there. And I want to meet you personally.
I love it. You said it best. All right. We'll see you, everybody. Take care.